Welcome to the Plant-Based Podcast. Did you know that plants are truly amazing? Not only can you grow them and eat them, you can also wear them, drink them, nourish your skin with them, and so much more. Let Ellen and Michael inspire you to love plants as much as they do, as they chat with the movers and shakers in this wonderful plant-based world. So, let's dig in.
LAVA-LITE, naturally the best. Effortlessly nourish and protect your plants with a collection of totally non-toxic, environmentally friendly, sustainable, pH neutral, lightweight and 100% natural products. The collection is made up of 8 different horticultural growing and potting media and pest control products, with each continually offering the same natural benefits: thermal protection, moisture retention and control, soil conditioning, and providing a nutrient boost, as well as being completely child, pet, and environmentally safe. Learn more at lava-lite.co.uk. So today's podcast episode is all about one of my favourite things in life. And that's chocolate. Yes.
Me too.
You too. Is it? There you go. Funnily, look, there you go. That's all 3 of us, funnily enough. Chocolate is our favourite thing. And perhaps one of the most well-known of all the chocolate brands is Hotel Chocolat. So on today's podcast, we are chatting to Emma Peacock. Emma is the CEO of Hotel Chocolat St. Lucia and leads the global cacao sustainability program. So we're really looking forward to chatting with Emma today. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for being here.
It's such a pleasure. You know, on the podcast, we chat about plants, horticulture, anything that links back to plants. So it could be clothing, it could be building materials, it's all kinds of different things. But I have to say, I'm always excited to chat with, you know, new people on the podcast, because we always walk away with learning something new as well, which is, you know, wonderful. But I have to just say, this is a first, because we are purely talking about chocolate for like a whole half an hour or so, and that makes me very, very happy.
Yeah, this is the day job. I mean, I am very privileged that this gets to be my day job too.
Not all jealous.
I'm just wondering
not all jealous.
if I've got any in my cupboard, and I hope so. So anyway, let's kick off our interview with you today then, Emma. So tell us about yourself and your background, and also tell us how awful it must be to work in St. Lucia.
Oh, it's terrible. Sunshine and pina colada.
Ew!
No, there is some work that does have to happen whilst I'm here.
Yeah.
But I started my career in earnest working for a food company, and did a couple of roles before I actually fell into buying cocoa, which was already a pretty nice place to start my career. And when I started that role, it was about the time that food and sustainability was becoming much more of a prominent topic. And it was something that kept me in the world of buying and supply chains for a big portion of my career, because a lot of the environmental impact that we have comes through some of those supply chains. So it was a really interesting place to be. I've always worked in food, cocoa, lots of other agricultural commodities, and then was very lucky to join Hotel Chocolat 2 years ago, looking after our global sustainability program. And then when the role came up in St. Lucia to lead this business, I was very privileged that my partner also works in hospitality. So we said, yes, please, we will take on that role in St. Lucia.
Wow.
So for those of you who perhaps don't know, we have 140 acres of land here. And on that 140 acres of land, we have one of the most immersive luxury hotels you can stay in. It's open walled. You really feel like you're in nature. And then you can find one of the few places in the world where you can go from tree to bar in what we call our Project Chocolat experience. So you can plant your own tree, you can see it grow on the farm, and then you can come and make chocolate in our market stall area at the end of that experience.
Oh my gosh, hang on a minute. My diary is next to me. I'm literally like, when can I come?
She's free every day.
I'm free all winter, all spring, all summer.
Wow.
Come on over.
That sounds absolutely amazing. That's awesome. So let's go back to kind of like the beginning of Hotel Chocolat. Can you tell us a bit about the history of the company, how it started, like why it started, that kind of thing?
Yes, so we are founded by Angus and Peter. And Angus and Peter are friends and business partners for a long time in their career, but started Hotel Chocolat as the brand back in 2003. And they were on a mission, and are still on a mission, I should say, to do chocolate differently and something that isn't necessarily the norm. It's original both in its taste and it's original in the way we source our ingredients. So it's always been in the heart of their business to create original, different chocolates, but do it really differently with the farmers that we work with. So probably some of your listeners will know we have a number of stores in the UK and, looking to expand that going forward.
I have to say, I've got a confession to make. I just suddenly remembered this while I was sitting here and you were chatting about it. One Christmas, I was away and it had got really close to like Christmas Day and I had a ton of Christmas presents to buy.
Emma just did an eye roll.
So, yeah, I'm sorry. I had a ton of Christmas presents to buy, tons. And I was like, what am I going to do?
Last minute.
And I literally went onto your website and I bought every single friend, family member, other half, you name it, all of them, packs, like the big gift boxes, like, and the slabs of chocolate, and they all arrived on time, and everyone was like, this chocolate's amazing. And sorry, you were chatting away, and I was like, I remember that year. That's literally what I did.
Well, I mean, I'm really unbiased because I work here, but I still do it every year as well, because every time you go into a store, I see something new. I'm 2 years into working at the business, and I still haven't tasted everything.
Yeah.
So there's always a little bit of joy to find either online or in the store. So, yeah.
Well, do you know
totally
what?
Get it.
I've also got a little bit of experience with the chocolate because I work a lot with QVC in the UK, and Hotel Chocolat is one of the big brands that they use there. So there's often samples kicking around backstage, which makes me very happy as well. So.
I recently went to a jazz night, and I got the train into Euston, and there's a store there. And why did we go? We went in there. I think one of the girls wanted a coffee. We went in to get a coffee, and I picked up a little pack of chocolates, put them in my handbag, and took them to the jazz night with me. That's like literally chocolate fiends.
Everyone's an addict.
Anyway.
So let's talk about where your chocolate comes from. But before we do that, tell us a little bit of a brief journey of how, indeed, the cacao bean becomes a bar of chocolate. Because, of course, cocoa tree is quite unassuming. There's a lot of different uses for the cacao as well. Sometimes they use the pulp, but most importantly, they use the bean. And that then becomes this thing that we covet so much. So give us a little brief journey of how it goes from bean to bar, if possible, please.
Yeah, and I might even take you to the bit before the bean, because the cocoa bean starts its life in a pod. So it grows on a tree, and it starts as a flower, and then it turns into a pod, which will be roughly 20 centimetres long and about 5 to 10 centimetres wide, depending on how big it is. So it starts in this pod, and then when you harvest that pod, as you said, Michael, it comes in a white pulp, which tastes delicious if you ever get access to a cocoa bean still in its pulp. And then inside you have that cocoa bean, which you probably will have seen photos of more commonly. So in that cocoa bean, you have two main ingredients. You have the cocoa liquor, and that's the bit that tastes really quite bitter. And then you have the cocoa butter. And that's the bit that it's a little bit more like a fat ingredient. So cocoa is already amazing because you just get loads of different things from the bean itself. So it will go through a process where you extract cocoa liquor and some cocoa butter, and then you also get a bit of cocoa powder on the side as well. Generally, when you make chocolate, you will use the liquor and the butter. You will add some dairy perhaps, or a dairy alternative if you're trying to make a vegan chocolate. And then you will add a certain amount of sugar. All of our recipes have more cocoa in them than they do sugar. But that is the basic premise of how you go from a bean. You get those ingredients. You add a dairy or an alternative dairy, some sugar, put it together in a clever way, which I won't tell you about today. And then out the end, you have some delicious chocolate.
Amazing.
And you've got a farm there on St. Lucia where a lot of this is happening, right?
We do. So we have 140 acres of land, which is in World UNESCO rainforest. So it's already pretty stunning. And then within that, we have a working farm that's about 30 or 40 acres, whereby we grow cocoa. We also grow lots of other crops that we sell in our restaurants and our street market over here. So everything we grow gets sold in our restaurants. And then when we actually bought the land 15 or so years ago, we saw that cocoa was a forgotten industry in St. Lucia. It used to be quite a booming business many, many years ago. And when we bought this land, it wasn't. And that was one of Angus and Peter's missions, to bring that back to life on the island. And 15 years later, it is now a really thriving business on the island that we have been very active in supporting to bring that back.
It's amazing. Is there other places where you grow as well, or is it just St. Lucia?
So we own our own farm in St. Lucia and work with the farmers on the island. And then actually most of our cocoa comes from Ghana. So we have a combination of both of those things in the products that you can buy, but we work most heavily with approximately 2,500 farmers in Ghana and have done so for the last 10 to 15 years, which forms the foundation of one of our principles of working with farmers who we know where the cocoa comes from, which means you can work much better with them to try and implement more sustainable practices, or what we would call nature positive practices, and also hopefully encourage them to avoid some of the things that we don't want, which can be seen in cocoa in pockets of deforestation, for example.
Right, yeah, I get that. I was reading about your gentle farming, and how I'd love to know how you ensure that is part of the process, like you were saying about nature positive, that kind of thing. You know, how do you make sure that that's part of what you produce at your place?
So I might have a little geek out moment here, because I love cocoa as a product, but also as a crop. It is a truly wonder crop in the sense that it tastes delicious, but it's also a tree that can support healthy business for over 40 years. If you look after that tree well, I'll come back to that, it really supports a very sustainable business for 40 plus years. It's also a tree that loves to grow with other crops. So if you imagine that you can have in a great cocoa farm 3 tiers of crops. On the floor, you've got some floor products. It might be pineapple bushes. We're planting those at the moment in St. Lucia. It could be eggplants or plantain. Then in the middle, you've got cocoa. And then at the top, you would really like some shade trees that provide a bit of shade, but also really great for the planet and encouraging biodiversity. So cocoa is a really wonder crop when it's planted right. And so what we do to try and ensure that nature positive environment in Ghana in particular is we work directly with those 2,500 farmers I talked about. And not only do we give them a really generous premium for their cocoa at the end of the season when we buy it off of them, but at the moment we are physically employing labour teams to go in and teach them about how you look after your cocoa farm, how you prune the trees in a way that will maximise what they come up with. And we don't just teach them, but we are funding that work to be happened on farm. So those labourers will show a farmer what it looks like. Because if you imagine telling a cocoa farmer to prune their tree, if you don't really understand that practice, that sounds quite scary to you because you are removing that from the tree. So we are physically performing that for them right now so they can see what can be done. And the last big thing we do is, in order that they get access to those trees, we distribute free seedlings to our farmers in Ghana so that they have cocoa seedlings or they have shade trees to create that multi-tier experience. So it's quite a lot in the programme. We give them trees, we give them a generous premium, and we are physically teaching and doing some of that labour for them so that they can hopefully take that on themselves in future years and make it really sustainable.
Yeah, that's really cool. I was just thinking about pruning, even when you talk to anyone, just to, about gardening in the back garden. As soon as you say about pruning, it can be a really scary thought.
Yeah. But that's really cool that you're helping to maximise as well. And sometimes with the different layers, I imagine there's slightly different crops that you then use in different places as well. And that is really, like the real antidote to like mono farming as well. So, you guys have really got it down.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Well, there's plenty to learn. It doesn't mean it's perfect everywhere. There's always learning. But we are very proud of what we do in this space.
Yeah, absolutely.
So just to kind of explore that kind of sustainability and environmental kind of impact elements with Hotel Chocolat, what other practices are you then involved in?
So, actually, what do you mean?
You have,
well, just around the global cacao sustainability program, that lovely tongue twister.
Yes, so in Ghana, as I talked about, they're the big things that we give a generous premium. We help distribute these seedlings and we support with that on-farm labour. I'd be here all day, actually, if I told you of all the little bits and bobs going on. But for example, one of them right now is we are piloting a scheme where we are being quite specific on exactly what plants they have to plant in a certain acreage. And not only will we give them the seedlings for free, but we will also encourage the farmer with incentives to make sure that they continue to thrive in the years to come. So there's lots of different things going on. And then in St. Lucia, one of the things that we are very active in trialling is the role of organic fertiliser in our food production and crop production as well. So it's often quite hard for people to access that, particularly in environments where they're very used to alternative fertilisers. So we're a fully organic farm here in St. Lucia and helping to educate the other farmers here on the island on how you roll that out as well.
That's good. I was just thinking that I don't know why this is so bad. Every time you're chatting, I'm just literally thinking of the packets of chocolate at the end in the shop. I'm literally going, I've tried that and I've had that and that was really tasty. Wonder how that was grown. Oh, my mind's going crazy right now. And you said about it being a wonder crop. I love that. Like, literally, that needs to be some kind of branding tagline.
Yeah. When a few years ago, everything was a superfood, but sometimes that was a bit superficial. But a wonder crop is something that really means something in a commercial way as well.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
And tasty.
Yeah. There you go. Like, you have so many different options. And one of them, obviously, you were saying yourself, that you have some vegan options as well, which as a vegan makes me very, very happy, because when I found that that I could get like the vegan box, I was like, oh, happy days. How do you decide, like, how does it, how do you get an idea and go, oh, this is going to be the new product? Like, how does that work? And tell us a little bit about the vegan range as well. We're a plant-based podcast, so I have to add that in for sure. But how does it go? Like, how do you go, oh, we're going to, produce something vegan, like the branding and everything around it? Like, how do you do that? Like, what's the process?
So lots to say in that. Where to start? So vegan products, like you say, we do have a really nice range of products. So two main offers that we have, our dark chocolates are all vegan friendly, and our nut milk chocolates also vegan friendly. So in our nut milk, instead of dairy, we use roasted hazelnuts to create the substitute for dairy. So it's already just a yummy thing. Obviously, it's got nuts in, so clearly mind that allergy as you do it. But there's a big range in that space. And coming up with the ideas starts in the inventing room, which also I just think is another cool place to work.
Yeah.
But in the inventing room, we then have a handful of very talented chocolatiers, and their day job is to come up with interesting, fun, original, different recipes.
Oh my gosh.
How they spend their days.
I'm drunk on chocolate and I'm miles away from you, and I haven't eaten any chocolate this morning, but I am already.
Do you know, I have got some chocolate in the cupboard, and have you heard of 8 Set? It's from Iceland, and it's one that has licorice inside.
Ew.
And it's really white. It's like liquid licorice. So, yeah, that's a suggestion for you. Licorice in the middle of chocolate.
Nah.
Might be a bit niche, but,
I'll pass it on to the chocolatiers.
So tell us more about this testing room. Is that in St. Lucia, or where is that based?
The inventing room is in England, and it's in our factory in Cambridgeshire, where most of the magic happens in terms of turning that chocolate into something yummy with different flavours, etc., different shapes. So the main inventing room is there, but the original obviously started in St. Lucia. This is where the full bean to bar experience exists. So we have a mini version here as well.
Bean to bar. Living the dream.
And I guess things like the vegan range have increased all the time as well?
Yes, it's a really popular range, along with dark, actually. So you will see we're increasingly investing in how do we get more products in that. And if you fancy a little quiz in the chocolate space, you can go online and do our chocolate love match. Who doesn't want to do a chocolate love match? And it will tell you which chocolate tribe you belong to. So we have a chocolate tribe.
I have to do that,
Yeah, you might be exuberantly fruity, Michael. And you might be serious dark. Who knows?
Oh my god!
I think that's the opposite way round.
I found it. I'm gonna do this quiz. Not now because I'm concentrating, but later on I will, and I'll let you know.
Do you have any exciting plans for the future that you can tell us about?
We do, always. It's a company that has truly innovation in its blood, actually, and that comes from Agnes and Peter, our co-founders. So we are never short of ideas in Hotel Chocolat. There's some that I can't tell you about, so watch this space, but we do have a few big things coming up in the next couple of months. But the ones that I can share is, obviously, Christmas is coming up, so I know nobody wants to think about it right now, but we are deep in the middle of bringing some new Christmas products to the range. So, Ellen, if you forget to do your Christmas shopping this year, there will be some new things available for you. And we're also opening some new stores in the UK. So if you're in Leeds, Springs or Glasgow, you've got a brand new, lovely store with a cafe in to go and explore if you fancy.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Wow.
If you're going all out, you've got to do the velvetised hot chocolate. It's
they do that on QVC. I forgot about this. Yeah.
Best hot
Have to buy
chocolate
one.
you're going to drink.
Right.
Really?
There you go. Thank you so
Cool.
much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Where can people find you online?
You can go to hotelchocolat.com. You can order all the gifts to your heart's content from there. Or we've got 120 or so stores in the UK that you can go in and see our full range if you'd like to see it. But the best experience is here in St Lucia. So if you are lucky enough to be able to travel, do come and stay with us, eat with us, and make chocolate where it all starts.
So if someone was there, like maybe on a holiday or a honeymoon, not necessarily staying in the hotel, could they book like a day tour or something like that with you guys?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, okay,
Come,
super.
and I would actively encourage it. It's a pretty cool day. I mean, clearly, I'm biased, but it is a day out.
I'm on it already. I've literally got
And,
so many ideas whirring in my mind for like a holiday.
And there's one more link that I want to give, which I can confirm, is hotelchocolat.com/love-match-quiz. And you can then find out your ideal chocolate partner.
There you go.
We will definitely put that in the description to this podcast episode.
Yes.
So anyone listening, if you need to, know that again, it's in the description. And also we will plaster that all over social media for everyone to have a go at, because that sounds really good fun also. So
To get your personal flavour profile.
yeah, I feel giddy with the smell of chocolate right now, and the St Lucia kind of Caribbean vibes. So thank you, Emma, for that.
Cool. Thank you very much for your time
we really
today.
appreciate you coming on the podcast. It's been fun chatting with you and finding out more about Hotel Chocolat. Thank you very much.
Pleasure to share. Thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
you. Let's introduce everyone. Faith, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Faith. I'm curator of an arboretum, local arboretum, and one of the co-hosts of the Human Gardener Stage.
And Sarah.
I'm Sarah Owen Hughes. I'm head gardener at Rudding Park Hotel and Spa, and I am also a co-host on the Human Gardener Stage at the Harrogate Flower Shows.
I'm not sure if you know this guy, so I'm going to make him introduce himself as well.
I'm Michael, Mr. Plant Geek, and I'm very impressed with your professional buttons, actually, girls. Yeah, because it was all out of control, and then suddenly we pressed a button and you were proper professional, yeah.
Did you switch it on, like literally, like, right, I'm here now.
Camera ready.
Very nice.
Cool, but welcome, because we're here at Harrogate Autumn Flower Show.
We are.
Which is at Newby Hall, which is a revelation to me. I love it here.
It's beautiful, really beautiful. No.
Right.
What I
But the
really liked
quality of the
is
show is amazing.
exactly when you came in, the first thing you said was the dahlias and chrysanthemums, and you went straight back
Totally.
to being a child
Exactly.
and growing with your grandparents.
The smell, the sight of the vases as well, just everything. And then, of course, the giant vegetable tent. That takes me back in some other ways too. But yeah, it's amazing. And of course, you've got the gardens to visit.
I
as well.
haven't-
And a little train to go on.
we've
We should put you on the train, Ellen.
I'm not
You
going
go
on
round
the
and round for
train.
hours.
I've been on the train. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Really?
If Faith's
But
been
where
on it,
does
you
it
have to.
go?
Yeah.
Very fun.
Well, Faith's been on it, I'm going on it.
It takes you right past the end of the double border of the herbaceous border. It's
Okay, okay, so it's for the
She
views.
loves a double border.
But when you go on the train, you've got to go toot toot.
Okay, is this a thing? Okay, I'm going to do that because you've told me to do it, Faith.
Oh, and inside the house, they've got some amazing floristry. as
Yes, I heard about
That
the
is really
floristry.
worth it
I
to
haven't looked at anything yet. This is all new to me. I've walked through the gate and we've come straight here, but I did get a little look at
fresh
the
meat.
chrysanthemums. And they rival dahlias for sure, don't they?
Yeah.
They are beautiful.
I think dahlias have got to watch their backs.
We have been saying this for years, and dahlias are still up in their moment, aren't they?
And how about the gladioli as well? They look incredible. There's all sorts of small societies like the Rose Society, the bonsai growers. There's even the local beekeepers, and it's just really lovely because they get to celebrate their passions in a much bigger national stage, and it gets properly show lighted. So it's
super
great.
Yeah,
as
nice.
well.
That's really
Yeah.
cool. So tell us about the Human Gardener Stage. What are you doing exactly? Tell us all about it.
Well, chatting to lots of different types of people, all within the, I won't say horticultural industry.
No.
there's a lot of that. I would say nature-based
Natural industry, yeah.
because we
Very
have
nice.
therapists on, we've got artists on, scientists, moth botherers, all kinds of different people.
nature lovers.
We want to shine a light on some of those amazing, the range and the depth you get in our industry, whether it's formal or informal, whether it's someone who takes cuttings and sells them from the end of her drive to raise money for a local charity, to a gentleman who's in his 80s who shows daffodils and is here at this show showing pelargoniums.
Wonderful.
And it's just finding that 15-minute snapshot where you go, everybody's got an amazing story, and we're all here for the same reason, because we love nature, outdoors, how it makes us feel, and it makes it really accessible. I think.
Do you know what I really like about the people we chat to as well? The one sort of the couple of common things that they all have is the compassion that they have. They're all really kind, gentle people, aren't they? Yeah. Really compassionate people. But they're also, the sense of community is just unreal, isn't it, in this industry? I love it.
That's what nature does, isn't it? Yeah.
Nature does bring people together. Yes, it does.
But what I've loved about your schedule is you've had some younger speakers, but you've talked to them completely on a level, because it's very easy to talk down to, say, a 10-year-old or a 14-year-old and kind of almost not acknowledge their knowledge as well, but you've talked completely on a level, and that I think is very impressive as well.
Who have you had on the stage?
Well, we had a 15-year-old yesterday, Maxwell, who works for a local animal pet centre, and he's absolutely mad about moths, and he traps and collects and monitors and releases them every morning.
He's going to go far. He's going to do really well.
Far.
He's
and
so passionate.
By coming onto the stage, I mean, he knows more than any of us, doesn't he? He was telling us about what plants we should be planting for moths.
But it's easy as adults to discount that sometimes, and be like, "Oh well,
but
you're just young."
Because of this, he will find his tribe. And we were saying how difficult it was as youngsters for us to maybe talk about plants because it wasn't cool or mainstream. But for him, he's going to go straight into an industry where people are looking out for him already and
they
go,
want him.
Because he has already got an amazing amount of knowledge and expertise and passion.
And we had Amelia. Amelia was 7, isn't she? And she grows up on her dad's bonsai nursery. And she was just fantastic. She was really keen to talk.
Well, she invited herself.
Yeah, she did. She
you need to
stage
interview
crashed,
me.
didn't
That's what
she?
Ellen did.
That's what I do everywhere.
But it was amazing that to have that confidence at that age as well. She's obviously been empowered and empowered by her parents to maybe acknowledge that you could work in this as a career, which is nice.
Kids know so much as well, and we sort of poo-poo what they know or their knowledge, and because they're so uncomplicated. It's when you start to grow up and you become really complicated.
There's less space to learn things.
They absolutely
have barriers. Like we have the fear and the anxiety that's and everything that's happened over the years as we've grown up that's kind of stopped us from speaking out our truth, but kids can just say it as it is, and
they
They're just straight in there.
it's great.
I love them.
And how great is it that you've got flower shows where you can bring a family and children can come and there are things for them to see and do. So they have a trail, that they've also got Newby Hall's gardens, but we've brought in animal handlers, we've brought in a face painter who's doing botanical face painting.
She's an amazing artist.
And it just means that there are points all the way through here that they can go, this is for me, this is okay. It's not just I'm being dragged around by mum, dad or grandparents. And again, it makes it a family-friendly activity.
Plants are fun, let's be fair.
Plants are fun.
And it's a community, and so the sooner we get youngsters into the community, the healthier it is.
Couldn't agree more. So tell us one favourite part of the show. If you had to pick one, it could be a plant, a product, a person, an area, one place.
And it can't be us.
No, because obviously you would pick us.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Funny that,
Do you know, for me, it has to be the giant vegetables. And do you know, there was a guy up there when we were setting up, and he was bringing these enormous cabbages like the size of the back of that car there in front of us, huge cabbages, and he was 80, and I sort of said to him, I said, how do you grow that? And he told me all the secrets, exactly how to grow giant cabbages, and it's just amazing. It's mad, isn't it? Absolutely barking mad, but it's amazing, isn't it?
And his son, who was late 50s, early 60s maybe, was struggling with this cabbage to bring it in, and I offered to help, and he went, no, because you can't risk breaking anything.
How do you cook it?
I don't think they cook it.
What do they do with it after? I want to know where it goes.
It goes
what
on the
happens to it?
compost
That's a lot of
pile,
sauerkraut.
I want to see it.
I don't even know if it would go in the compost pile.
It was big.
I hadn't realised until last night when we spoke, I thought when they grow the giant carrots, someone's like digging down a massive hole to get all the root out perfectly. I didn't realise they grow them in drain pipes. I feel so stupid now.
Did you see the cucumbers?
Oh my God, they are indecent. But they're so yellow as well.
Going back to that theme, don't we?
But yeah, it's just incredible. But also, you know, aside from the kind of like, you know, showpiece kind of giant veg, there's also a lot of interesting different fruits and nuts in there as well. And and even like looking across the apples, the pears, they've got some of those stripy pears in there. Did you see those?
Yeah. So again, for me, I do love the giant veg, but for me, it's the societies, it's the small groups. So it's the allotment federations, it's the dahlia growers, and like you say, we as local head gardeners, we're all encouraged to get our kitchen gardens teams to enter the fruit and veg. Not that I'm showing off, but Rudding Park's won 12 awards this year.
Wow.
Very pleased with that. I'm really delighted. I'm so delighted for the team.
But she
it's
wouldn't
amazing.
put my mushroom on it. And it is a fruiting body.
It's a fruiting body.
Really be in my bonnet about the mushroom. There's a lack of mushroom.
Do you know what I promise?
Representation here.
Do you know what I promise you?
Brilliant.
I promise you I will wear a mushroom fascinator to your wedding, because I think we have to do that now, don't we?
We need to do that, it's important.
Because I really couldn't put it into the fruit basket, because I thought that was maybe a step too far.
But they
People here could
do
cope
need a
with that.
fungi class.
They do.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, we do.
I think like Chelsea this year or last year was the first year they had
Cayley Brothers, didn't they?
they had
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
first time.
But how can we then, thinking about kind of, you know, all these show dahlias, the chrysanthemums, like roses in vases, how can we encourage more people at home to enter themselves and have the confidence that they could be show quality? Is there like kind of amateur classes within what we see in there?
There are. But I think again, we were talking about that sort of imposter syndrome that you build up in your head as an adult. A lot of people think, oh well, I'm just a keen grower. I'm just a gardener at home. It's not for me. But actually, it really is. And even if it's go to your village show,
Start at your village
put
show.
something in,
Yeah,
even if
true.
it's making you garden on a plate.
That's what I used to do as a kid. I used to enter
We
the
do
kids'
little
classes.
fairy gardens and all sorts at the village shows, but that's a good way to learn,
There's no kids'
isn't it?
classes here, is there?
No, there aren't.
There should have,
There should be
Let's
kids
write to someone
classes
about
at
that.
every
We will.
single
Thank
show.
you. Absolutely.
Every single show. should have
Absolutely.
kids
Because that's how I was encouraged.
Yeah.
You know, I probably would have been in plants anyway, but that was something that I was then doing alongside my grandparents, showing the dahlias and the chrysanthemums. So,
Yeah.
garden on a
Cutie.
plate. Peppermint
Fairy
creams.
gardens,
There used to be peppermint creams
There's
class.
always jams and chutneys.
Handwriting class, little
Victoria
jams and
sponge.
chutney.
Decorated spoon.
Sorry?
Yeah.
Photograph.
Oh, yeah.
Photographs, yes,
Yeah,
always
yeah,
photograph.
yeah.
And then there's the stitch needlework one as well.
Embroidery, yes.
Yeah.
But it was it's so cute, honestly.
We could have like a village show in the show, couldn't we?
We could.
I think
Maybe that's the
the
next
kids,
stage.
yeah.
There you
Next
go.
stage. There you go. High five.
There's your idea.
There we go.
Into the dong.
See what happens here on these gossips. All
But
kinds
even
of
over
things.
there, there's vases of herbs in
Yes.
one class.
Yeah.
That is
nice.
beautiful vases, actually.
And
Very
you
inspiring.
get additional points for the variety, so having lots of different species. So again, it's encouraging people to grow more different things, not just a single monoculture.
That's cool.
Very cool. Well, I can't wait to go and take a look
Yeah,
around
it's
now.
super cool, Ellen.
You've
You will
sold the
love it.
show to me.
Can I suggest you have something to eat first, because you never go around a show like this when you're hungry, because you will end up buying
I've got a
all
Nutrigrain
the
in my
things.
pocket as an emergency for Ellen. I've been looking after her over the last
We don't
24
want
hours.
we don't want you buying all the things because you haven't had enough breakfast.
I love that you have something in your pocket because you know at some point I'll get hangry. It's
Honestly.
like feeding the pet.
Whenever you spend time with Ellen, there are two things to watch out for. A, she will go on about, I haven't eaten yet. Oh. And also, is it raining? My hair's going to go frizzy. They're the two main kind of like touch
No
points.
mention of the plants or anything.
We can't wait to see you on the stage later and hear, particularly Ellen, from you, and hear how much what you've enjoyed, what sings to you here, because it's a very different show to a lot of the big corporate
She's looking
ones.
forward to the karaoke.
Yeah, the karaoke.
I'm here for the karaoke. I'm here for it.
I can't hold a tune in a bucket, so that's going to be fun.
I sound like a cat when I sing. And I think like we would completely clear the whole like marquee. Everyone would leave.
They've
if
just
we were
had the
singing.
military wives choir on, actually.
Really?
I think they could probably
What,
rival
Robson and
them.
Jerome? There's something to do with that, aren't they?
You're quick this morning, you
I
are.
don't know.
You said Weetabix, clearly.
Because we're near Newcastle. And actually, sorry, we're gossiping forever. We don't want to hold you ladies back.
But we're like over an hour away.
But that's quite close, really.
That's not north.
No, but what you said about flower shows in the north is interesting because people in Newcastle, they got a lot of hobbies, haven't they?
Yeah.
Why is that?
So
Because I find this interesting.
I was talking to some of the Geordie exhibitors, and they were saying that a lot of it comes from their heritage, which is heavy industry and fishing and mining. And so there were always activities to do in the evenings to stop the workers from spending all of their salary in the pub. So there's a really strong heritage of allotmenteering, of brass banding as well. So there's some really, even you were talking about pigeons as well, pigeon fancying and ferret racing, what have you. Really interesting hobbies. So you had something to go home for. And this is one of the most northerly shows. There really aren't any shows up in the northeast or in the Scottish borders anymore. So we've been very fortunate. We're just off the A1. People are coming down to Ripon because it's a really good day out for them, and they're really
I
appreciative.
will say it's actually really easy to get to. So even like down south from up north, it doesn't matter. Like the A1 is easy road, and I came from Norfolk, and it was really
Which is
simple
usually
and
a long
quick.
way.
For everywhere, yeah.
But on this occasion, it wasn't.
and I hope you'll find, Alan, it's not like Grim up north. It's actually quite.
It's not
very
like Grim
dear.
up north.
Do you remember that dance track in the 90s that actually read out all the names of the northern towns?
No, I don't.
No.
Yeah.
It was by a kind of offshoot of KLF. Do you remember KLF that burnt £1 million?
Yeah.
And it's called, it's Grim Up North, and it's by the Justified Ancients of Moo Moo.
yes.
It's a really cool song. It's like a rave track, and it's just like, Nantwich, Crewe, Leeds. It's such a cool song.
Oh, yeah.
On that note,
I might use that
now.
theme song for my reel about the show.
I think you should do that at the karaoke.
You
girls are a laugh.
You brought it on now, Michael. You brought it on. Faith, Sarah, thank you so much.
Oh, it's been our
Enjoy
pleasure.
the rest of the show. Thank you for having us and coming on the podcast.
Thank you.
LAVA-LITE, naturally the best. Effortlessly nourish and protect your plants with a collection of totally non-toxic, environmentally friendly, sustainable, pH neutral, lightweight and 100% natural products. The collection is made up of 8 different horticultural growing and potting media and pest control products, with each continually offering the same natural benefits: thermal protection, moisture retention and control, soil conditioning, and providing a nutrient boost, as well as being completely child, pet, and environmentally safe. Learn more at lava-lite.co.uk.
The music for the Plant-Based podcast is part of the song Grow by Mikey James, and our editor is Gareth Patch of Semi Echo.